In 1971, I joined a peaceful protest against the Vietnam War at CSUN, confident of my First Amendment rights. While I marched with my sign, draft beer, not students, my roommate Judy was simply attending her English class. When she left to go to her car, she was wrongly arrested and jailed for 3 days, accused of leading a protest based on a mistaken photo. Her parents had to hire a lawyer, and she was required to write a letter of apology to the judge showing remorse. The media labeled us radicals, anarchists, completely misrepresenting what I saw: students peacefully standing up for their values. That day taught me that civil disobedience, even when peaceful and lawful, can carry serious risks. You may be judged harshly, face false accusations, or suffer real consequences simply for speaking out. Knowing the risks doesn't mean you stay silent, though. It means you step in with awareness, preparation, and courage. What I didn't realize at the time, that was pointed out by Chris Hedges in his book, America, the Farewell Tour. Quote, "The recovery of memory and culture in the 1960s by radical movements terrified the elites. It gave people an understanding of their own power and agency. It articulated and celebrated the struggles of working men and women and the oppressed, rather than the mythical beneficence of the powerful. It exposed the exploitation and the mendacity of the ruling class. And that is why corporatists spend billions to crush the marginalized, the ruling class. And that is why corporates spend billions to crush and marginalize these movements and their histories in schools, culture, the press, and our systems of entertainment like talk radio, Fox News, Breitbart, Facebook feeds, all created alternative realities. Today, we no longer have facts that we can agree upon. Civics education has faded from public schools. Compromise and wokeness has become a dirty word, and winning at all costs has replaced democratic cooperation. The courts are no longer free from political interference. Congress isn't holding certain people accountable. Mainstream media is no longer allowed to investigate and criticize. Law enforcement is being used for personal gain. The free press is fearing its extinction. Where there's no foundation for dialogue, we have lost the ability to know facts. What I'm really realizing now is that every failed democracy has one thing in common. The people assumed someone else would save it. I didn't think it would come to this. I really didn't. I mean, I knew things were messy, but I thought someone else would fix them. Isn't that why people went into public office? Some senator, some clergy, someone with a law degree or an important message. Didn't we have Hollywood to make movies about this kind of thing? Where's Jane Fonda when you need her? I did my university time. I had my rebellious youth. Wasn't that enough? There are new people now who should be taking the torch and carrying on with the business of democracy. I was busy. You know how it is. Kids, bills, going back to school, working nights. Horrors on the news, I turned it off. The political debates were a circus, something to complain about when my girlfriends and I got together at the local watering hole. It's just politics. They're all corrupt anyway. Why bother, we would say. How about another margarita? While I tuned out, others tuned in. They stoked fear, they twisted truth, They made cruelty a campaign slogan. And I watched it unfold, one executive order, one school board meeting, one book ban at a time, from the comfort of my couch, till I just turned off the television. Because I didn't have time to get involved. And only recently did I find out that democracy erodes in silence. I was negligent. Not out of malice, but out of exhaustion. And that's the part that stings the most. They didn't have to silence me. I silenced myself. You would think I would have known better, since my own family ran from Hitler and his atrocities only 70 years ago. My own grandfather barely made it out of Germany with his life, but through his determination to save my grandmother and my mother, managed to get all three of them to England safely, all while breaking the established laws made by the German Nazi machinery. The world isn't suffering because too many people told the truth. It's suffering because too many people stayed silent. They watched injustice unfold and turned away. They saw lies spread like wildfire and said nothing, hoping someone else would step in. But silence is complicity. Silence is permission. Well, I'm speaking up now to tell you to speak up too. Every single one of us. I know you've heard it, but I'm going to say it again. When good people look away, bad things don't pause. They accelerate. Maria Ressa, Nobel Peace Prize recipient, author of How to Stand Up to a Dictator, tells us, quote, "Do not stay silent in the face of oppression, because the longer oppression is tolerated, the more power oppressive forces accumulate. Real change takes place when ordinary people stand together to fight oppression and injustice." Martin Luther King reminds us that remaining silent in the face of injustice is just as harmful as the actions of those perpetuating the injustice. Quote, "In the end," he said, "we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." This from his letter from Birmingham jail in 1963. So it's time to act. And when we do, we need to remember the words from the Dalai Lama. Peaceful protest and nonviolent resistance are weapons of the strong. David Brooks, author of How to Know a Person, writes that America is facing a crisis of disconnection, divided by distrust, uncertainty, and political gridlock. Yet he reminds us the answer lies within our own communities. Here in this room is one such community, the Unitarian Universalist community. Our renewed framework calls us not to affirm our values, but to live them, not to just affirm our values, but to live them through covenant and committed action. We support nonviolent resistance as a moral response to injustice. We are bound together by compassion, inclusivity, and the belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. As Robert B. Hubble said, quote, it will take all of us to stop this threat, a coordinated effort in which we mutually pledge our lives, honor, and fortunes to one another." When I was 12, I asked my grandfather why he stayed in Germany until 1938, knowing how Hitler felt about the Jews. He told me the only news available was Nazi propaganda. He couldn't believe the world would allow such scapegoating to happen. He said he had to leave Germany to find out the truth. He had to leave his own country. And once he did, he learned that the Kindertransport, a rescue effort that saved nearly 10,000 Jewish children, including my mother, because he got her on that transport. What will our grandchildren say about this moment in history and about us? Will they say we stood up, spoke out, and got involved? Or that we stayed silent, hoping someone else would take the risk? Will they remember you as someone who challenged the lies and defended the truth with courage and clarity, or as someone who looked away? This is a defining moment, and each of us must choose. If you're willing to see things clearly and face the cost, then stepping up is not just an option. It's some of the most vital, meaningful work you will ever do in your lifetime. If this involvement stirs up fear, remember, fear is a natural reaction to stepping into the unknown. But every major change in history happened because people acted despite the fear. True courage is feeling that fear and moving forward anyway, while keeping your purpose clear and your vision fixed ahead, letting it drive you onward. Speak up. Challenge the lies with calm strength. Share the truth. Stand in solidarity, because staying silent, that cost is far greater than any fear you face. And if you're one of those who's willing to step up, know that because of our you values, your verbal communication to people with whom you are in contact can achieve change without physical harm, without shaming, without blaming, or being self-righteous. Instead, let your behaviors be rooted in principles of peace and respect, helping to connect the gap between individuals who disagree. Continue to express your values. And if others are rude or nasty, as Mother Teresa might say, speak up anyway. According to Psychology Today, if you are the recipient of harsh words or name-calling, in most cases, receiving an angry, mocking, or dismissive response from another adult doesn't actually kill you or significantly damage your life. Not unless you let it. Avoid retaliation, though, or escalation in conflicts. Control emotions and responses, resisting provocation. Take nothing personally. Responding with calm confidence, humor, or even no response can have a stronger impact than direct retaliation. Quote, "Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticized anyway," said Eleanor Roosevelt. What you don't want is to be triggered. Being triggered refers to experiencing an intense emotional reaction, often linked to past trauma, in response to a word, image, sound, or situation that unconsciously brings up distressing emotions. It can happen in discussion with someone who insults you, or blasts a horn at you, or waves a certain finger at you. And if that should happen, practice deep breathing and ground yourself to stay present. If you ground yourself, put both feet on the floor right now. Practice. Take a deep breath and slowly release. And do it again, one more time. And feel your feet on the ground while you're doing it. You stay present with yourself, and the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, which relaxes you. If you don't feel better, disconnect from the situation and then calm yourself down. If you are still triggered, take a time out, because you won't be thinking clearly and you may be misperceiving the entire situation. Speaking up will make some people uncomfortable, no matter which side you're on. but discomfort is nothing compared to the weight of a truth you silence. When you bury what's real, when you ignore injustice or suppress that gut feeling, it doesn't disappear. It turns inward, it festers, and over time it erodes your well-being and your sense of who you are. We don't stand alone. We stand on the shoulders of giants, people who faced far greater risks and chose courage anyway. We stand on the shoulders of Harriet Tubman, who walked through literal darkness, guided only by the light of freedom. She risked everything to help rescue over 70 enslaved people through the Underground Railroad. We stand on the shoulders of Susan B. Anthony and countless women who fought tirelessly for the right to vote, enduring arrests, hunger strikes, and public scorn until the 19th Amendment became law in 1920. We stand on the shoulders of Rosa Parks, who in 1955 refused to give up her seat on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Her quiet act of defiance helped ignite a movement. And behind her stood Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose unwavering commitment, nonviolence in the face of hatred, in the face of violence and prison, helped reshape the conscience of our nation. Their courage cleared the path. Our task is to keep walking, truthfully, fearfully, if we must, but never silently. There are many powerful ways to take action and express your truth, which you probably know many of already. I won't go over too many. Have real conversations. Invite neighbors or friends with different views to talk. Ask open-ended questions like, how did you come to believe that? Or, can you give us an example? Listening builds trust and opens space for mutual understanding. Find common ground. Use social media wisely. Speak out against injustice, share facts, and raise awareness. Maria Ressa warns that unchecked technology has fueled the rise of disinformation, with platforms like Facebook spreading propaganda and silencing dissent. So join peaceful protests. Show up with the signs that reflect your values. The one I carried said, "Make America think again." Even small gatherings make a difference. Want to be unique? Organize a mass singing demonstration, like the one in 1988 Estonian protest, where 300,000 people sang against Soviet rule. I would have liked to have been there. Use your dollars as protest. Refuse to shop at companies that harm workers or the planet. Support businesses like Costco that prioritize fairness, sustainability, and ethical practices. Rethink investments tied to fossil fuels, private prisons, or corporate irresponsibility. Boycott every big business whose CEO made campaign contributions to those who don't support our Constitution. Boycott businesses that advertise on CNBC and Fox. Get creative. Try a silent flash mob, a group standing still in a public place to send a message without saying a word. Or hand out cards that say random acts of protest kindness. And compliment someone's sign, thanking police officers for staying peaceful, or offering cookies to supporters and opponents alike. One of my friends did just that and sparked powerful conversations over chocolate chip cookies. Celebrate kindness. Set up a sign that says, "Free high fives, hugs, and human dignity here." Kindness doesn't weaken activism. It strengthens it. It reminds us that the root of our resistance is love. Organize in groups and watch out for each other. Accept that stress, fear, and anger are to be expected, but must be managed, so you must remain clear-headed. And stay non-reactive. Know how you will cope with fear or anger if things don't go as planned, and turn to those who can support you. take steps to do something every single day. We are working to gain momentum, one day at a time. And know this, those who speak up, take action, and fight for the soul of their country will outlast those who stay silent in a futile attempt to protect their wealth, power, or privilege. Why do I say that? Because history proves it. According to political scientist Erica Chenoweth, no government has withstood the pressure when 3.5% of its population engaged in sustained nonviolent protest. In the US, that's roughly 11.5 million people, a small fraction with massive impact. And at that level, resistance becomes impossible to ignore. It grows too large to silence without backlash and powerful enough to reshape public opinion. Nonviolent movements attract a wide range of participants: students, elders, faith leaders, workers, creating a moral force that authoritarian power struggles to contain. And once the collective voice hits critical mass, change comes fast. The legitimacy of the old order crumbles. The tipping point arrives, and then there's no going back. Our job now, though, is to peacefully get involved while we accumulate the numbers. We may not see the fruits of our labors for a long time, so we must continue to encourage others and lift ourselves up in pursuance of this tipping point, knowing that small acts done at the right moment by enough people can transform the whole system. Arrests, public marches, and acts of defiance can tip established laws and patriarchal rulings. This 3.5% rule isn't just theory, it's a call to faithful action. If enough people act with conscience and courage, the system will change. I am the proud daughter of immigrants who were helped by kind strangers like you, who followed their conscience and their values. Now it's our turn. Let's challenge injustice and speak truth to power. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, said Martin Luther King. Our local efforts make a difference. And as John Lewis had said, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. May our voices disturb the silence where silence is harm, and bring to light the truth. May our hands reach out to help others when it would be easier to turn away. For freedom is not a gift, it is a calling. And we together are its faithful keepers, walking the winding path with patient hearts until the work is done, however long it takes. Blessed be.